Good day, everyone. Welcome to my sessions, and today's my sessions going to cover a topic called "How do I get my apps onto Oracle Cloud?" So my name is Jimmy Tan. I'm from Oracle Cloud Specialist team, and here's the agenda I'm going to cover. We will start with the OCI networking component. Before we start deploying the server, we need to understand some of the basic networking component so that you are allowed to spin up the server. Then once the server has been spin up, we'll show you how to connect through SSH, or there's another way is using the Windows putty if that's your flavor. And then we'll deploy a sample application. So what I'm choosing today is Apache and PHP. And then we need to configure some of the ingress rule, which is the firewall port to be open for those applications, right? So before we start, you need to get a Oracle Cloud account ready. I believe you have get this account ready already now. And then second thing is that we need to get the SSH to install as well. So whether you are running Mac OS or Linux or Windows, you should have this installed already. Right. So here's the basic networking component. Right. So from the left is where you'll be using your laptop to access Oracle Cloud Networks through the internet, right? So the time that when you set up your tenancy account, you will decide to choose which region that you're going to deploy the resources, right? So for this example, I'm using Sydney for this diagram. And then before you need to deploy the server, you need to create a compartment. So compartment is basically a logical container to keep all the resources. So you can give it a name. So I will show you later. And then we need to create a virtual network. So for this instance, that I create a virtual network with a CIDR range /16 subnet, and then you will have a public subnet or private subnet. So public subnet basically is most of the time is for the web tier applications. For instance, the Apache and PHP is a web-facing application. So we will put it here, and then we give it a subnet or 24, right? And then for the private subnet, most of the time is for database or some application as well that you do not want to expose to internet, right? So for this type of application that we with no internet access, we need to have a net gateway as well. This is for in the event that you need to do a batching or updates so that the traffic can go through the net gateway to get the patches update, right? So this is a very basic understanding of the networking component, right? So I will switch to the Oracle Cloud Console now. Right, so when you launch your browser, the first thing to access to our cloud is just type the cloud.oracle.com. Okay, so this is the first landing page that you will getting. The cloud account name is during your provision time, you give it a name. So we call it a cloud account name, or we call it tenancy name, right? So for me, I have a credit called build with AI21, right? So this is my tenancy name, and you will prompt with the single sign-on. So just click continue to use your email account and log in. So here it goes. It prompt you the account. So I'm using my Oracle account, and then I'll enter my password. All right. All right. So yeah. So once you have logged in, this is the main page for the OCI console. Right. So first thing that we need to go to the compartment and to check what compartment that we need to deploy. So we go to identity and security. Here you can see there's a compartment, right? Another way to access this compartment, you can use the search bar here. Basically, if you know what are the services that you want to access, you can type compartment, and from here you can click on the services, and then it will bring you into this page, right? I have few here. So okay, let's create a new one. What I call it, sandbox. I call it my sandbox. Okay, my sandbox. Yeah, description, I call it my sandbox as well. All right. So as I said earlier, this will be the logical container. Okay. Click the wrong. Let's make sure that my sandbox is ready here. Okay. So now we need to, the first task that we're going to do is we need to create the networking component. So go to this menu bar here, or we call it burger bar. Click on networking or virtual cloud networks, right? Right. So this is a virtual cloud network. You need to select the compartment that you just created. So for me, I will go for my sandbox, right? So we choose where are we going to create the network component in which compartment, right? Uh, for a starter, I would suggest that we can use the wizard. So this is the very simple wizard that is shown. You have two options. One is the pure virtual network with internet connectivity, and second one is side to side. If you have on-prem connections that you want to have connect to Oracle Cloud, then you can go for these options, right? So for this, today we just need to create an internet connectivity. So let's choose that and click Start VCN Wizard. All right. So from here you can see that from the diagram at the right side, this is the component that we're going to configure today, as I explained in my slide earlier. So my give it a name. I just call it my VCN. So you can give any name that you like, and this will be the default value. Okay, so we just leave it the default cider block here. So it will be 60, and then we have a one public subnet for 10.0.0/24, and then 10.0.1.0 for the private subnet, right? Very simple. And so we just leave it the rest. We just fill up the name, and then we hit the next connections, right? So very simple. Just fill out your VCN name, and then this visit will take care of the rest, all right? So basically, it tells you what are the gateways names that we're going to go configure later in this, right? And security list is basically is the firewall rules for the incoming and outgoing traffic, right? So by default, we'll open the ingress traffic for the port 22, right? And some of the route table. So I will just hit the button create, and you can see that within, I think it's within 10 seconds, all this will be up and running, right? So basically get the VCN, get the subnet, internet gateway, and so on, right? From what we have been I have shown earlier, okay? So we can click this view VCN networks. Hold on, I think that's the page. Right, so come back to this menu, click on networking VCN. All right, so make sure that you are open under the compartment that you just created, and then this is the VCN. All right, so we can just come in to have a look on what is this all about. So basically, this virtual network, I have two subnets, right? And this is the VCN block, the bigger cider block. So you can have for the subnet 16, you can have a IP address up to 65,000, right? And we have the route tables, the default, and the route table for the private subnet, and the gateway, and so on, right? So we have completed the networking component. Next is we're going to spin up the server. So we just go to compute instance. Okay. So we're going to create a one server. Click on this create instance. Let's call it my web server. All right. Any name that you would like to. So you can customize it. Right. So from here, availability domain basically is the data center. All right. So and then fault domain will be like a rack servers in the data center. So we have basically three. If you want to see that, it will show you here as well. Like, yeah, this is the one. So basically, there is no single point of failure. So if you have your application installed in fault domain one, then you should have your database on fault domain two. Or if you would like to have a high ability, then you can go for fault domain one for the first server and fault domain two for the second server, so that you don't place all your server in the same fault domain. Basically, it's like a rack server, so it does not share the power supply for the same. In the event that there's a maintenance going on. Okay, right. So next is that we're going to choose the shapes. So I will show you some of the shapes that what we have here. So this is the image. By default, we will use the Oracle Linux 7.1. But if you can click on the change image, you basically have other options. So if this is all the Linux variants. If you go for, you can go for the Ubuntu, CentOS, all right. So Oracle Linux is the default. Autonomous Linux, basically we have this capability to do a patching when your server is up and running. So you do not have downtime during the patching hours, right? So basically it will help you save a lot of your admin works, right? And another one is we have this Oracle Cloud Developer, right? So Oracle Cloud Developer is another shapes that we provided. So I'm going to show you what is this Oracle Developer shapes. Where is it? A second. Oracle Linux Developer shapes. Okay, let me do this right here. So what is Oracle Linux Developer shapes? Basically, it pre-installed with all those developer tools like Java, Python, Ruby, those developer language tools, and then you have some other tools as well, like Terraform. If you would like to use Terraform, so it can pre-install for you for this image, right? And if you want to have a GUI access, then it's there as well. So you just need to get your VCN ready and connect to this, right? And so on. So this is the one of the options that you can choose, but for today I will just go for the default Oracle Linux, right? So it's been selected. So yeah, second thing I want to share is the shapes. So in Oracle Cloud we have plenty of different shapes for you to select. So we have AMD processor, we have Intel processor, and recently we have this ARM based processor as well, right? So if you want to try it out, you can go this. So for this lab session, I will just choose E2.1 micro. So this basically that for all the Oracle Cloud account that you sign up, we are given two instances for you to try it out. Okay, so I'll go for this one since it's free. Why not? Right. And then yeah, so this is the networking component, as I said, as I mentioned earlier. If you do not have this ready, you are not able to continue, right? So this is the default VCN, and then we will going to deploy the server in the public subnet, right? And yeah, so this is the SSH key. So if you have your own SSH key, you can upload here. You can just choose your upload the public key, right? So that you can use your private key to access. If you do not have that, we can choose this option, so it can generate the key for me, right? So basically you can reuse the key for other deployments, right? So I'm going to save the private key here, and I just, yeah, we can save the public key in the event that if you want to deploy the another server using the same public key and private key, right? And yep, so this is some of the function. You can customize the boot volume if you want to have a bigger size. So I'm not, I default will stay as it is 46.6 gig. And then if you want to have a more security encryptions, that you can turn it on here as well. So we can do an in-transit encryption on the fly. All right. Okay, so I'm going to create this instance now, right? So my web server, and while waiting, it's pretty fast, but I just want to get uh, my key ready. So I will just proceed to go to my server folder. So I have one folder called Oracle and DevLab, right? So okay, so I'm going to paste the, oops, I should paste the key, not shortcuts. Right, so this is the key that we're going to SSH in later on. Just call it SSH, so we don't have to type it that long. Okay, right. So while waiting, let's launch my command prompt. So this is the command prompt here. Okay, so I need to locate my key. Oracle DevLab, and this will be my key, right? Okay, so let's try SSH minus I followed by the key. Oh yeah, one thing I want to, yeah, wow, I need to show you some of the information. So this machine is being deployed in the ability domain 1. This is the data center in US West St. George. And then we have the fault domain. So this is the fault domain 2, right? So this is the compartment name, and this is the some of the information for what is the image name, what is the date. It's quite recent, October 4. And then yeah, the key things that we need to know is that what is the public IP address, right? So we need to get this public IP so that for us to SSH in, right? And then the default username is called OPC, right? So for all the server that we deploy, whether it's Linux or Windows, the default user to access is called OPC, right? So let's try login. OPC 155.248.202.17. All right, let's try this out. Right, it will prompt you this because you need to register the fingerprint for the key. And how is it? All right, so we are in the web server now. It seems that we do not have any issue here. So this is the path and so on. All right. Right, I promise that I'm going to show you the putty uh, as if you want to access the putty. But before that, because putty is using a different format of the key, so we need to do a conversion for that. So very quick one, let's import that key. If this is yeah, so this is the SSH key, right? So you just need to save. Once you loaded the key, in the actions, you just need to click save private key. So we are converting this SSH key to that putty key. So we're not going to use any passphrase, just click continue. Yeah, so give it a name. So putty is using .ppk, right? So we are going to save this. Right, so just open. So this is the key, we just get it converted. Now you can just launch your putty. Okay, so this is the putty console. Yeah, copy the public IP and go down to the authentication and browse the key that we just convert, right? And then just open, right? So same thing, you will get the same warning. Just click accept. and this is the console. Let's type OPC. All right, so we are in. So I have shown you whether, oops, sorry, let me get back to my key here. This is the putty sessions, and this is the SSH sessions. All right. So we have two flavors here, and it depends on which one that you would like to go. All right. So back to my slide. This is the one. Uh, the username by default is OPC. We need to get the appropriate IP, and then this is the command SSH minus I followed by the key at IP address. Okay. So now here we're going to configure the Apache first. All right. So we have logged in to the Apache server. Next is that we need to continue with all these commands. All right. So I'll bring to this. Okay. So where should I go? Okay. I will do it in these sessions. Okay. So first thing is that we need to run sudo yum install y httpd. All right. So we're going to start installing this. Very quick. This will be the last package to download. Right. So now it's doing a checking. Right. So start installing and done. All right. It's completed. So there's no other funny message. So now we're going to turn on, enable the Apache. So the command is sudo system control enable HTTPD. All right. So this will be the some of the common message to be prompt. Next is once we enable, then we can start the service. So we're going to use sudo do a restart, and then we need to enable the port, power port for this Apache. So what I'm going to use is called sudo firewall command X service, which is equal to HTTP. Right. Wait a second. Unrecognize. Unrecognize. All right. So I think I missed out one. Here. Yep. Oops. What is the command? Oh, I think I missed more than that. This? No? About this. All right. So I missed out some of the command earlier. So we get it success now. Next, that once we open the port, we need to reload it. So what's the command next is that this one sudo firewall reload. Okay, let's try it again. I think I missed out some of the command need to be double dash. Right, we are good now. So last is that we're going to test the Apache, whether we are able to access. Let's try what is the IP again. This is the one. So let's put it in. Can we? No, we cannot. Right. So as guess what? I think I missed out the firewall rules because this Apache require the HTTP, which is listen to the port 80. So we need to open that port, right? What we need to do is that we need to go down to the public subnet, right? Let's see. This is the security list. This is the firewall port that we need to add on. So we just click on add ingress, and it will be uh, anywhere, and then the destination port is called 80, right? So we can give it a connection for Apache HTTP, right? So just add this in, and you can see the rule has been added here, right? Incoming. Let's try refresh it. All right. So simple. So once we get the Apache deploy, we remember if we cannot access, most likely is the port is not open. So we need to get back to the security list, right? And check that the port 80 is open here. All right. So we have done with Apache. Next is that we need to deploy the PHP. All right. So for PHP, let's go back to these sections again. It's the same sections. We're going to install the PHP. Right. So first command I'm going to use is that we need to configure the repo. So just type sudo yum install -y Oracle PHP release E17, right? So we have the, yeah, it's been updated now, and then we're going to install it. Sudo yum install y PHP. Right, very simple. Let's get it run. Right. So now we just need to restart the HTTP service, and then we're going to check. Okay, open for a second. Okay, yeah, it's PHP -p just to verify the installation. Then we can see the PHP 7.4 has been installed. All right, it's quite recent, September 23. Right, now we need to add a page so that we know that the PHP is being can be connected. Oops. What I need to type is we just need to sudo vi on this directory. So we have a file called info.php. Here that I need to just enter a quick command. Insert PHP. There's a simple script here. PHP info. That. Then followed by this. Okay. So we are good. Let's save it. Alright, I've saved the page. So I'm going to use the same page and just browse to the direct the page called PHP. And yeah, so as long as you can get the PHP page here that I just added, and it means that the PHP has been can display the page correctly, right? So this is all the configuration page for the PHP, right? So I think I'm good. Uh, where we have successfully deployed the two Apache and PHP. So right. So yep, that's all for me. Right. So I hope that you enjoy the sessions, and if you, I hope that you will able to deploy the other application. And yeah. So thanks for your time. Bye now.